Guys, hello and good evening. Welcome to the Physique Collective podcast. We have got the three classic boys on the screens and your audio pleasure today to talk about a roundup of the Ben Weider last weekend with Two Bros. So we thought we would jump on and give you guys a little bit of a roundup or a conclusion or some feedback on what we thought kind of the classic boys brought to the stage in the pro qualifier. So we've got the classic ghost, Leon, Mr. Brambleby himself, the most handsome man in the world, and myself. Nice introduction for myself. So, guys, what did we think of the Ben Weider?
I thought it was an interesting show. I thought it was good. I thought the standard was great. It gave me a bit of a realization. I think looking at some of the standard of the guys in my class specifically, Class C, I was just looking at these guys thinking they look absolutely nuts. Kind of gives you retrospect on how far you've still got to go, right?
Definitely. I found myself doing exactly the same in Class B. Like they came out and I was like, oh, oh, these are the guys that I'm going to be standing up against. So yeah, definitely an eye opener. I think the standard in that show, I'm not sure about you two, but that was most definitely the most, and it's such a cliche saying, but the most stacked lineup I have seen in Classic. Since going to shows, to be fair, I'm not really.
It was just consistently very good.
Yeah.
I think the most worrying thing is our height, mine and Brad's, is the most common height class, what it tends to be. So it's like Battle of the Minions with a lot of classic good athletes.
Battle of the Little Man.
It must have been like, was it 8?
There was 10 in the Class B.
Shit, there you go. There you go.
I always find it interesting though, because at Ben Weider, like, it doesn't actually seem to be as busy as a regional, but you always get the talent pool. And I think unless it is like strictly the British finals, there's always like ridiculously good Europeans that come and win the class.
Am I correct in saying like the guys that come from around Europe don't have to qualify now? They can just roll up. Isn't that what the Irish have been doing as well?
Ireland are allowed to do it, I think, because they only have one pro qualifier in their country. Do you get what I mean? So I think if there's multiple throughout the year in your country, you're not allowed to do that. Because what Ireland have only got the muscle contest that they're allowed to enter elsewhere.
Nice.
It's either that or they don't have to do a regional. Do you get what I mean? Because they've only got one, basically.
I see.
Makes sense.
Who was the standout of the day? Who shocked you the most when you looked at him?
Who shocked me the most when I looked at him was Matt McCulloch, who won the overall. I literally, he looked like he was made of fucking plastic. He was that dug out and that etched and that hard. That was.
I've followed Matt for a while now, and I've always just I've never really seen him in person, like in the flesh, posed or peaked on stage. It's just like, even when you look at his check-in shots, like these proportions are crazy. Like the legs are crazy, you know. And
I think that was what shocked me the most because he was in the taller class than I'm in, but I think he must only be like an inch taller than me because I'm like the top end of it. So when I see him outside, I was chatting to him outside for a little while. And because he weren't like Brandon's height or anything, it weren't like blow you away, like fuck this dude's a unit. But he had like skinny spray on hair jeans or whatever they were. Yeah. Bro, like the roundness of the legs, the quads, the hams, the calves was just like, holy shit, man. And like I'm sure you'll show everyone in a minute on Instagram. He was so like dug out, it's insane. It was like, you know, when you've dug someone too far and the details are so deep, but it hadn't gone too far. It was just absolutely peeled.
Yeah, very complete physique, I think.
I don't know how old he is. I imagine like mid-30s or something.
Let's get mad.
He's got such crazy muscle maturity.
Yeah. Look at just the sweep of his quads just hang off.
Yes, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It's one of those, like, I didn't realize he was there. And, I was talking to George Wilson. And when he said that Matt was there, I was like, oh, okay, this completely like changes the game now. Because I had Brandon down as winning it.
Yeah, me. And like when they were out on stage, it was like Corey's class and Class B. You could give a very good argument for both of them. I thought Brandon's tan was awful, and I think that easily hurt him on points.
It did make a
Because
big
Matt
difference.
was so dark, so etched, so oiled, and even though the screens at the background, everyone saw yellow screens that day, and everyone went, "What the fuck?" Like, oh my god, like how are we going to look in front of yellow screens? The lighting was actually perfect.
Yeah, I agree. It was much better than
Really good.
the qualifier 2 weeks before. I found the lighting just it almost seemed to make them look a little bit softer because I was just like, well, this doesn't look right. You know, seeing them backstage or seeing them before they went on and then going on the stage, I was like, lighting's a bit off on this part. This show just ridiculous. I think the I made it pop more. To be fair,
Yeah, I do. Go on Cal's page, Leon. Cal posted a photo of Matt in tanning, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Big Cal pro coach.
the Godfather.
This was like standout athlete of the day, I think. Matt, it was just so like, oh, that one. Look at that, mate. Look at the quads.
Ridiculous. Yeah. More separated than my parents. Nutty. Yeah, he was just he landed so well. Like Tam was on point. His stage presence was on point as well. I thought like he hit poses very, very well. Like he wasn't one of those guys that would like almost like he wouldn't finesse it too much, did he? He just sort of posed to his kind of ability, but pulled it off very well and tidy.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought like Matt's not like a crazy all out poser kind of thing, but I didn't feel like what he did was a safe bet. I thought he really, really looked confident with everything he hit. The transitions he did were nice and tidy, and they were held really, really well. There was never anything
nice as well.
Yeah, classic elegance, but like not over the top. Like it wasn't too showy and flamboyant as some people do.
It was like
who was Cal's
very easy. It was very easy to be marked. Do you get what I mean? Like there was nothing hit like too fast or too many poses at once or anything like that. It was just like, yes, got the fucking job done. Looked sick.
This lad as well looked really good. Alex Davis.
Oh yes, Sammy posed this guy.
Yeah,
Alex Davis.
The feathering on his quads was ridiculous.
Yeah,
collection.
Between him and the 2 weeks in the shows as well was huge. Like very, very noticeable. Obviously, he's not going to peak for like the regional, but when he was in the pro qualifier, it was like night and day difference. Like when he came out, it was like, oh shit, like you put in some work the last couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, man.
So when he first came out, I thought, okay, right, I think he's in a good run for this time.
I think he was just really nervous with his posing, Alex, because we both know how good Sammy is at posing and at teaching it. Yeah. I think you could tell nerves got to him a little bit, like when trying to hold stuff or like in the front relaxed, when they're like lining people up in between them and stuff like that, and out doing the routine, because they do that like presentation round, don't they, where it's like 30 seconds in front of everyone, like everyone's out on stage when you do it. And I think then it's
class B, right?
Yeah, this is B.
Your class, isn't it, boys?
Yeah. Where
would you see yourselves in this class?
Me? Oh, bro, that's a fucking tough question. There were some very, very good lads up there. I mean, shout out to Corey for a start. I mean, the guy is phenomenally put together. Condition is nuts. But not just that, the work ethic that he's been putting into this prep is just fucking unquestionable. Like, and still going. Like, he's got his mind set on exactly what he wants. He's not like faltering. He's been so close more than once now. It's just like, right, cool, we go again. He's
just got that relentless drive, hasn't he? Like, just gets up and gets it done. Like, definition of work rate. It's motivating, really. Just cracks on and carries on doing it, because we all know ourselves how tough it is at the best parts in the contest prep, but having to eat thin air, ice and nothing muffins to squeeze into a cap and do that over long periods of time, multiple shows back to back, it's fucking difficult.
Without the assistance of a lot of PEDs as well, because if anyone's watching doesn't know Corey's story, Corey has had 2 heart attacks, cannot push drugs. So I believe pretty much all of this prep was done with actual TRT dose, not Ciotti, so fucking fair play, man. I know that doesn't matter when you're up there, but I tell you what, it's going to fucking affect your recovery. It's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect, like, it ain't going to feel nice. Like,
Classic, fucking classic, new classic physique. Classic physique is such a crazy like category at the moment in terms of like how different so many physiques are. Like you look at this lineup and look how many different structures there are just in one lineup alone. Like it's nutty.
that was the biggest breakdown of this class. I think that Corey and the winner were so differently fucking built. It was unreal.
Yeah.
See, I knew this guy was turning up to the show because my German friend was telling me, he sent me some photos of him, and said, "Oh, he's turning up to the show. How do you think he'll do?" From the photos, I was like, to be honest, in a lineup this deep, I don't really think he would probably place because he didn't look as impressive in the photos as he did in the flesh. And when he kind of walked out, he just had that bubbliness to him, didn't he? That bubbly pop.
So damn round.
Very dark horse, wasn't he? Like as soon as he come out, it was like, oh shit. Like he didn't seem as confident with his posing as the others. And again, he played it quite safe with his posing, but he was enough to show his physique off in a well-rounded way. Players safe and not get anything like too kind of like flamboyant with it.
No, I don't think posing is a strong point at all. I seen him in the novice because obviously, if the guys that weren't there, he won the novice and then he come on and did Class B and done open. And there was only one other guy in the novice, and you watched it and you thought, oh yeah, well, he's clearly obviously fucking won because he's much better than the other guy. But it was until he stood in this class and you're like, fair play, looks insane. I will say this: his posing cost him the overall 1,000,000%. He turned the wrong way. He fucking had one toe on the floor or doing a quarter turn and got told 3 times by the judges. Bro, you're like, man, this rig is ridiculous. Come on. You're a pro qualifier. You've just made it to the the finals, the overall.
Facts. It's a reality check.
Handed it.
Yeah, I remember he was repeatedly told to keep his feet flat.
But whether he was actually genuinely a novice and not, and like, one of his first shows, and then is it the overall of the Ben fucking Weider, like, fuck, ignore what the hell I said, man. You've just done way better than I've ever done. So,
what class?
It seemed like potentially because he did seem very uncertain whether that was he didn't understand or whether it was just his first show, but he did seem more nervous than anyone else on there. Everyone else kind of was dead to what they were doing.
I think it looked like he got very nervous as well when he was in the overall, because there was a point where he knew he was going to win in Class B and he was like going for it. I think in the overall, it just cost him his confidence a little bit.
His picture from the overall here.
The quads are so round, so detailed as well.
Yeah, I can't zoom in here, but
because Matt has denser, much more mature muscle, and the heads of the muscles are rounder, like more aggressively rounder, like the delts. But the dude that won Corey's class, the muscle bellies were much bigger on a bigger, wider structure. Do you get what I mean? So even though Matt was in a taller class, it was like very much could have seen an argument for both as well in the overall. But I think the kid handed it to Matt with his posing.
I also think like
Matt was very confident with his posing.
If it was
Matt's been around the block, man, as well. Matt's been in a few like pro quals. He knows, like, do you know what I mean? Matt's turning up. He's like, yeah, I'm not turning up as an underdog. Like, I fucking know what the hell I'm doing. Like, he's a fucking sick athlete.
Yeah, it's not his first overall win, man. He's took quite a few overalls from what I can gather. He's a successful classic physique, that's for sure.
I can't remember who turned pro at him who turned pro over him at the island last year. I literally can't remember who it was.
Who else should we look at? So should we look at Brandon Henderson?
Yeah, there's nothing on there or like on Tubo. It's like get his page up because this guy's physique is just fucking nuts.
I trained with Brandon as well, because he was in my gym once. And the dude is such a cool dude just to talk to as well. Like, and I think he doesn't realize how good he is.
Bro, he's 24.
Yeah.
Look at the side chest next to Matt.
Yeah.
The ham is one of the most disgusting ham drops I've ever seen.
It's the arms as well. The arms are fucking ridiculous.
He's just I remember seeing his debut last year as a first timer when he beat the other Brandon. And I remember walking out on stage and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, that was his first ever show and he just turns up.
First ever show, first time.
Smokes hard body.
Wins the
See
overall.
this one here? Who recognises that one thing?
Superhero landing thing. Did you see?
I replied to his story. I said, that's a sick shot. And he was like, yeah, I stole it from you, bro. Come on. Nah, it looks very good on him, to be fair. Like, he's just got that rig. Look at the hair as well. Like, everything just looks crispy classic, doesn't it, to be fair?
Go on the video. That's the second one on his page, because if nobody's seen him, the structure of this kid is the most retarded thing I've ever seen.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
It's so mad.
When he hits his vacuum from the front, it's like, what the fuck? Like, wasp waist, huge quads, just his upper body just explodes even more. It's like made for clear. There you go. Bang on. Like, he is like a mini Bumstead.
It's like, you ever watched Troy? You know that fucking armor? It's just like a massive gold breastplate, like huge chest and perfect abs. It's just like that. Is fucking midsection crazy.
He does look like he's wearing some armor, doesn't he? Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
It's fucking nuts. And to think his first show was last year as well it's just insane. It's just, he's the type of people that first timers have absolute nightmares about. You turn up to a show and this dude's first ever show, and he rocks up looking like a pocket-sized sea bum. Like, what the fuck?
That's the thing. Like, this is that kind of
He's huge.
He's got an insanely bright future in classic. Like, if this is his starting, do you know what I mean?
I think it really hurt him the weekend, and it's a shame because I was chatting to him outside, and he's just he's got a full prep at the minute. But if he had the ability, or was like, I don't mean the ability, if he was able to carry on this season and do, because what pro qualifiers the next, man? Like, I don't know what is next. Portugal, France, Sweden's
Germany.
the next one, isn't it? Going
Germany next week, isn't it?
The Germany at FIBO, that'll be a big one, but then it's Sweden after that, and it's like, well, man, imagine if he could string a few of them along, because he's no stranger to prepping.
He's got a pro physique.
I would like to know what his feedback was. Like, what was it that made him miss out on that? Because, like, I mean, if you look at that shot of Matt and him standing next to each other, like, that's a fucking tough shot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think when we were sat there, Matt was peaked so well that he was like, all the lines were so dug out. I think because what I said about Matt, where his muscle bellies, they're not as big and take up as much volume as Brandon's, but they are so round that when you fill him to the brim, it just pops right through, and every crease, every crack, every dimple, and everything shows like every striation like crazy. I think Matt's tan highlighted it so well, whereas you can't really see on these, but when we were there, like Brandon, like you couldn't see the slices in Brandon's glute from the side, from like the back of the arena. Obviously, the judges are much closer, but you think if you're that much closer, how much more detailed Matt's would have looked as well? Because I don't think Brandon was fucking soft at all. I think it was like, I think the tan washed him out a little bit. It did let him down.
He had lack of glaze as well. Like, he wasn't really like from the front shots, like he didn't look like he had any glaze on. So I think that might have hurt him a bit as well. But he's got to hold his head high. He came in a couple of weeks before, took an overall on his second season, come here, and lost to someone that's a fucking very, very good classic physique. I would regard, Brandon Henderson as the leading amateur classic physique in the country without a doubt.
I think now him not turning pro is, fuck's sake, that's someone else we've got to like potentially come up against.
Different class. It'd be my class, man.
Yeah.
My class. That's why I'm moving to open.
Yeah, done.
yeah, I can't beat him, so I'll just get too big instead.
Exactly.
He's done 2 shows, won 2 overalls, and then he's done the pro qualifier and just missed out. Like, that's a pretty fucking sick.
But look, that's his roster there. Look, first timer, 2 open class C wins, and 2 overalls within 2 very short seasons. Fucking hell. Crazy, bro. Fucking crazy. I mean,
even that in itself is fucking unheard of. So, it would be fucking sick for him to get his pro card, but even that is a fucking achievement. You know what I mean?
I think I mean, not that it's
I
a loss, but technically it's his first loss, right? On the weekend, everyone needs to experience a loss. I genuinely think losses make you such a better person, and they give you more of a drive and a fire to want it even more. From my personal experience, I think as well, taking losses just gives you more fuel. Like when I took that loss on my last season at the GBO show, and then went into the show the week after and beat the guy, there was no better feeling than that. No better feeling at all.
It stings at first, right? But then when you go away and think about it, you're like, all right, cool, yeah, I'm ready to get back to fucking work and come back even better.
I think as well, because it's so new to actually competing. When you've been going a few years, you don't have that emotional attachment and like so much disappointment when it does sting. Do you get what I mean? Like you realize, like, oh man, everybody gets beat at some point.
I was just there showing my whole WhatsApp on the fucking thing. I'm useless on computers.
It didn't come up on my screen. It was just like white as it slid across, so it might not come up.
Don't want to catch any nudes on there. Nudes from you, Brad. Whymark nudes.
Yeah. So what do you think about like general posing of the Ben Weider?
The most impressive poser on the day was Corey, without a shadow of a doubt. But he's nailed that with Sammy, to a T now, to its like second nature. Suits him super well. He's done a different routine every single outing. That goes to show the love that he has for the craft and for, bodybuilding in general. I do believe making the effort, whether it counts or makes it too much of a difference, it's just a respect and paying homage to bodybuilding, right? Just doing different routines for different shows. So I respect that massively.
I think it shows how well you actually handle the season as an athlete. If or whether you're just like a one-trick pony kind of thing, you want to prove that you can do it multiple times. Like, you get what I mean? If you're going for a card, you can't just like bank on your safe bet. Do you get what I mean? Like doing the same thing day in, day out. Like, what are you going to do when you turn pro? Just like never impress anyone doing a different routine then.
Well, yeah, exactly that. There's not many top pros now that can't pose, is there? I mean, apart from Ramon, but he's fixing that. There's quite a few top pros that can pose really well. In terms of posing conditioning, I'm talking about, like how they can hold poses for a long time, especially the top classic guys.
Yeah.
But the level of how good the posing is very different in the top pro ranks, right?
I think that as well about Corey. Corey and Matt were so conditioned in the pose. They hit it, they didn't come out of it. Nothing was shaking, everything was as if it was a pre-programmed machine. It was really, really clean. I appreciate that.
And they hit poses that like accentuate their physique, not just hitting random poses just because they see someone else do it. They actually genuinely hit poses that suit their physique and play to their strengths. Like Corey hitting the vacuum with a single arm above the head. That shot suits him extremely, extremely well. Plays his strengths, shows that lovely vacuum he's got. But you see a lot of guys hit 3/4 doubles, right? But they just haven't got the back to show for it.
Just about to say this.
I do wish Corey hit that first every time. Me and John were in the arena screaming at him, hit that fucking twisting double.
Because it looks so good, because Corey's back is just so fucking impressive. Like, he's just got like
his lat insertions. Like, how is it so thick?
His lats insert quite high.
They join the spine.
His lats insert quite high on his back, but they look so fucking dense and so compact at the top. When he hits that 3/4 double, there's almost just like rolls of muscle just slotted together. That's fucking crazy.
I think he's got one of the nicest ones in the industry at the moment. When he hits it so elegantly as well. Like, it just flows so nice. One of my favorite shots at the moment. Even when he just hits his rear shots, just rear relaxed, rear double, rear lat spread, like all of them look nuts just because of his lats. It's just crazy.
They're very technically correct, everything he hits.
Yeah.
It's real good. It's like, again, what I said about Matt stuff, very pleasing on the eye, but easy to mark at the same time as well, easy to compare with everybody else. I think that's why it does him very, very well.
If you look at it for what judges are looking at, right, they're looking for the first person to get in the pose. They're looking for the person to hold the pose nicely and sit there comfortably. They're not looking for people to, hit 7 different kinds of poses and not actually lock in one pose. They're looking to judge you, and you're in that pose and you're solidified in there. They're then judging you. But you see a lot of guys do a lot of faff before they get into pose, and then they hold the pose for 2 seconds, and then the judge has only got 2 seconds to look at you. But someone like Matt, someone like Corey that has experience on stage, they know that they need to get in, hold the pose, and they're there. Like when everyone else is faffing, trying to wash off a bit of like fatigue for their shoulders before they get into the front relaxed, Matt or Corey are in the front relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't they? They said that they needed to get into poses quicker because it's not fair on the other competitors.
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah. In other words, book him for posing. Stop posing like retards.
Very professional overview of the Ben Weider.
But no, I think across the board, the standard was, very high, and the standard in general at the moment with classic physique, especially these kind of like, you can categorize these guys as like top amateurs, right? At the moment, borderline pro card takers. The level's just mad. The level is crazy.
Well, the whole top 5 in Corey's class was insane. Like Graham, who took 4th. Literally, when you see him on it doing it as individual, you're like, fuck me, this kid is ridiculously good. He's won award his clients. And then even Marcus that come 5th, shout out Marcus, he's absolutely peeled. Like ridiculous appeal, missing nothing as well, missing nothing at all. And it's like, well, I think going into a show this season, if you are competing, anything can happen because like you can't get fixed. If I was just looking at all that, if I just followed Marcus all season, I knew he was doing the whole show, I'd be like, fuck me, man. How do I beat Marcus? Would I ever beat Marcus? Kind of thing like that. And look, he's took 5th for the Ben Weider, and he didn't finish very well in the regional. It's like, well, what is he missing? Like anything can happen on the day. It's so like the talent pool is that crazy. It just depends who's judging and what they like, I guess.
As well, like usually classic climate, you can pick out small bodybuilders and classic boys, but not in this. It was classic.
In Corey's class, it was just like that.
It is difficult with classic. It's like you say, different sets of eyes give different sets of perceptions of what they think classic is. Essentially, for most judges, that haven't been judging classic for too long, or because classic's still not considered a category that's been around for a long time, like bodybuilding, they still just judge these guys as small bodybuilders, So if the guy's got a wider waist or whatnot and still poses a bit like a bodybuilder, as long as he's carrying the most amount of muscle out of everyone and scrapes into the cap, they seem to give that the green light. But sometimes you see the nicer structures win, the nicer presentation wins, which is good to see.
It's a relief when you see that happen as well.
I think Two Bros are very good at that, though. That's something I see very consistent classic judging. They do tend to favor that kind of class criteria. I don't really see any kind of blocky bodybuilders or small bodybuilders, but it is usually the classic, like I say.
Another classic that
got much better this last year.
Another classic guy that impressed me actually on the day was Charlie Bowen.
Yes.
Tom Hames' junior. I first see him when at the PCA London when I had Lewis in the show. See him there, and I was like, yeah, this guy's a junior. Like, what the fuck? Looks fucking nutty for a junior. And then I did think, look at him, because he did a bodybuilding category. I did look at him and think he'd be very good in classic. And obviously Tom's got him in classic for this season. And I think he looked nuts, to be fair, on the weekend.
He looked insane. He was very, very unlucky. The guy that beat him was so he had a much bulkier waist. However, like he was much thicker through the arms, chest, back. I think Charlie being so young, how often do you see a youngster with like a densely built back, but like a guy that's like 40, like the guy who beat him was in his class? It's not very often, is it? I think he's very unlucky. I think his posing was pretty clean as well, to be honest. Charlie's was.
It was, some of it was clean, but I think a lot of it, like, it just came down to experience. Like we said earlier, getting into the pose and just holding the pose. I think he was doing a lot of faffing. But again, that just comes...
I think there was a few times. Artistically, you can pose pretty well. There's a few times I noticed his quads went on when they needed to be. And Charlie, if you watch this, you're probably not going to watch this. Please don't hike your thongs up to your lats when you do that. I don't think many judges like that at all. And I don't think it accentuates your waist when you give yourself a big wedgie.
I'm a
think-
certified wedgier myself, but I don't do it on stage.
No.
Only for check-ins or for Instagram if I'm just trying to show a bit more of the rec fem or something on the quad, just for the gram. But yeah, on stage, I think it does.
I think it can
Doesn't
annoy a lot.
sit well with
Like,
some judges, does it?
we had a judge at the weekend, and they had a judge at the weekend at the Ben Weider who was like, put your feet flat on the floor for the last time. So like guys that are on stage that are doing the quarter turns where his feet went flat on the floor. There was a few things like that, wasn't it? I can't remember what else did. Oh, it was a rear shot as well. Someone did, but they were doing a rear relax and they were trying to stand on their tiptoes. I can't remember who's doing that. It was a guy that like weren't a front runner or anything like that, but like the judges got really pissed off at very, very minor things. So I think if there's the slightest thing that is going to piss a judge off, probably stay clear from it.
You mentioned higher, and there was a lot of nudging as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of nudging, and they kept saying, move over, move over. You don't have to stand so close. So, yeah. I think when it comes to like a pro qualifier like that, though, there's a certain sort of charisma that you've got to have. Like, you are aiming to be professional. So if you're nudging elbows, just step over. If people are edging off the line, get back on the line. Like, it's not a first timers. You shouldn't be doing little things like that. And you definitely shouldn't be making the mistakes of like turning the wrong way or feet on tiptoes. Like, it's a pro qualifier, like standard, you know what I mean?
I think like Corey is the perfect example of how to handle it because he's getting jostled and he'll just sit and wait until they stop the jostling and then he'll reset. There's no need to like don't bump elbows back. If you put your hands down and just turn around like can't be marked, they're gonna say something. Well, the judge had already said something, so he just waited until the guy actually fucking shifted his ass.
Yeah.
Professionalism and sportsmanship.
It did get a bit heated in there. It was a very heated show.
It was, wasn't it? It was.
It was wild. From open to classic going nuts. Men's physique absolutely blew the roof off.
Yeah, Louis Blackmore.
Special mention, Louis.
Louis Blackmore's quad was nuts.
Could not have happened to a nicer dude as well. And it's probably worth mentioning Louis and questioning whether he's going to stay in men's physique or now go classic because now he couldn't make the cap and now he is pro. He has an extra £10.
Yeah, do you know what?
I wonder whether he is going to stay in physique or move up.
I don't follow Louis Blackmore, but
because
I think a couple of photos come up on my For You page or what everyone else has shared. And I always thought he was classic physique because he always poses quite classic, doesn't he? I didn't even know he was men's physique.
I think he wanted to do it, but I think he couldn't make it in the cap because I think he's really, really well suited to it because he's a beast, man. Like he's so thick, so round. I think he'd like to do awesome. But even saying that, So I said Kristen Chapman screen sharing then, and I'm Kristen Chapman as well. So I was like, oh fuck, what's on my screen? It's so thick and so round, but like saying that as well, he did finish 4th just behind Bridgman in the pro show in men's physique because he jumped in straight after.
Yeah,
which is crazy, mate. Look how round he is. Muscle bed is just stupid. Look at that front, that man.
Bad.
That is like the torso. Well, even the legs as well. It's very, very pretty bodybuilding. That is
mad.
Shout out, Louis. Well done, man.
Yeah,
achieved a dream.
Well, if he moves at the classic, he might be going up against Josh again because he's moving as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
True say.
I think that's a wise move too.
As much as I don't want to say it, because that means one day we potentially could be going up against fucking him as well. But he's just built classic. Even in his check-in shots, when he hits those classic shots, it's like fucking hell. Like to be that good at men's physique and also classic, like yeah.
There's a lot of classic pros that are not as good in classic as Bridgman already, and Bridgman's never done classic. A lot.
So
yeah. I think he'll sit very well in classic without a doubt. Like he's still got a bit of fucking. What's he got? Like 7 kilos still of his cap.
Yeah, he doesn't look. That's the thing as well. He doesn't look like he has 7 kilos. He is fucking enormous. Again, everybody watching this podcast is going to know who Josh Bridgman is. But watching Josh on stage because he must be 6'1" or something, surely.
Yeah.
And he's not lanky. He in the men's physique lineup, and everyone knows how big men's physique guys are now. he looked absolutely enormous. He looked like he had about 10 kilos on the biggest dude there, and they're all very, very similar height. I don't know how he's that much under the cap for Classic.
Neither do I. I think it's just purely because of his height. The more height you get, the more lenient you get with the cap, right?
There also is a funny thing. I think it happens to be Bumstead's height. Bumstead's height, like whether it's say 6'1" or 6'2", is allowed an extra like 14 pounds instead of the extra 7 pounds, like for that inch, and then it goes back to 7 at 6'3" after. So it's like, it's almost like his height is just a random massive increase, but then after that it's not. So I think Josh may have that much room because he's that same height. Do you know get what I mean? So it's like that uneven fucking gap.
I'm sure Bumstead's cap's like 240 pounds, something like that, around that kind of area, which is just insane.
Ridiculous.
And he comes in, I bet, at 240 pounds pilled on the nail.
No, I don't. I think it's 220 or 224, something like that. It's not that much. I think the highest it can possibly be is 240.
Oh yeah. Where's Chris Bumstead going to improve though? Arms. That's it. Just arms. But then you can't change the shape of your arms, can you?
I don't think he needs to. I think he when he come out of this Olympia and he was like so ridiculously peeled compared to everybody else and so much more to go out and blast him full as well. It weren't even close with Ramon. It weren't even within like 6-7 points. I think it was literally just because he was in second place. It was a closer score. Do you get what I mean on the gap?
He just dwarfs everyone. He's got such an overwhelming size advantage on every single motherfucker in that whole call out or steps foot on that Olympia stage in classic physique. He's just a level above everyone, isn't he? Realistically,
Density is just unreal. Like when he turns to the rear, it's like you look like you've got about 4 years worth of a difference between the progression there. No one's catching that.
Do you know the only person that could give him a run for his money, if not knock him off, if he had a good set of legs, is Tim's. Have you seen Tim's?
Oh yeah, Robert Timms, yeah.
Robert Tim's, yeah. Yeah. His upper body and his back is insane.
Yeah, he's fucking way better at posing. He's so good at posing.
Yeah.
So smooth.
Yeah. He's on stage this year, actually. I'm excited to see his return.
Yeah, me too. I don't even know what pro show is next one? April. I guess the New York is pretty near, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at when that is. New York Pro 2023. May the 23rd.
Oh.
Well, it'll be the 22nd, won't it? So it's next month. So yeah, it's like 5 weeks, I guess, until the next big major one. But we'll try and do these with every like one that's worth mentioning, I guess. Whether there's like a guy from the UK doing it or something like that, or like people of interest hop on and critique it and stuff like that.
We'll definitely do the muscle contest island because that's quite a few UK lads, so we'll definitely cover that. I mean, we'll cover as many events as we can, but I think we've covered as much as we can today on obviously the Ben Weider. We've gone through everything there, covered as much, put our thoughts in and whatnot.
Even if the next one we cover a couple, like we've got Corey and Fibo in next week. Cover that as well.
Mm. Yeah.
And also some special guests. So we'll invite some people on. So I think what'll be a great one is to invite the man himself who's just turned pro at the Ben Weider. Hop on with Matt, ask him how he feels about it, what his goals are next kind of thing, and sit and shoot the shit with him for 45 minutes to an hour or something like that. Maybe ask Corey as well after he's done FIBO, his feedback on FIBO, his own perspective of it, and break that down. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Definitely.
Yeah,
well, other than that, I think we should wrap this one up here, and then we will see everyone on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to recording up some more on the later events in this packed year of bodybuilding.
Peace.
Peace out.
Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button.